Should I try to break up my sister's marriage? I, 24, haven't used Reddit in years, but I made this account because I need some opinions on this. Apologies for formatting, etc. My sister, 29, has been married to her husband, 35, for about 5 years. Their relationship is miserable to be around. They bicker and argue constantly, and I've seen less and less of her over the years because of this. He's a bit of a slob and is happy to lay on the couch, playing video games for hours on end, leaving her do most of the housework and raise their 3 kids. He has always been like this. He always liked to drink and smoke, and was never someone who could be called ambitious. He's very much the stereotype of husband, is just another kid she has to raise. I don't honestly know what she ever saw in him. At the beginning, when they were younger, I think she was just so excited to have a big wedding/boy, a house/of babies. She just figured he would grow up. Don't know, I am trying to keep my personal opinions out of this, but I am so upset. My apologies. Since she gave birth to her 3rd child, she stayed home to take care of the kids, all age 5 and under. I think not contributing financially has made her feel guilty, so she tolerates her husband's behavior. Here are some of the behaviors that stand out to me as most concerning. He is repeatedly called my sister, lazy, stupid, annoying, nagging, bitch, crazy, wrong, etc., etc. This has worn down my sister's self-esteem and confidence. I've tried telling her it's unacceptable, it's untrue, and have pushed her towards mental health care, but nothing seems to stick, and she seems too worn down to do anything about it. As someone who personally experienced psychological abuse in relationships, I know how warped the mind games can be, and I'm worried she's in a place where she can't see her own situation very clearly. One of their children is neurodivergent. He's told my sister the barrier is too big for him to overcome, and he's pretty much given up on having a relationship with her. This breaks my heart because this child is an absolute angle, and he has begun to clearly favour the other 2. Most recently, my sister was taking a nap, and he was watching the kids. The youngest, age 1, somehow managed to get outside. The back deck is on the 2nd floor. When my sister woke up, husband told her, I can't find anywhere. Sister found the baby all the way at the bottom of the back steps, meaning the 1-year-old was out long enough to climb down the steps. Husband says she couldn't have been out long, but in my mind any amount of time outside unsupervised is too much for a toddler. I am imagining their poor kid falling off the deck or down the steps, freezing cold, or a neighbour could have spotted the poor thing and called. They have been in and out of marriage counselling repeatedly, and at one point, after hearing about husband not wanting a relationship with the 1 child, a counsellor told my sister to pursue diet. My sister is an incredible mom. It's what she's always wanted to be. She loves those kids more than anything, but she doesn't seem to see that her relationship with her husband is clearly having an effect on her kids' well-being. I asked her if money was the concern, what kind of choices would she make, and she immediately said she's too afraid of divorce because she doesn't want to lose the house, and for she's afraid he would get unsupervised partial custody, and she doesn't trust him to watch them alone. I don't know anything about how divorce works, or what custody would look like. I don't have kids. I'm married. I keep feeling like it's not my place to do anything about it, because I don't honestly know what I'm talking about. But I am worried that, in this state, she doesn't have the confidence to do anything about this, and the last straw will be too late. I am so worried about these kids. Is this my responsibility or my place to do something? Should I step in? What would that even look like? Help me, Reddit. Too long, don't read. My sister and her husband have an awful relationship, and I'm worried about how it is affecting their kids. I am considering actively trying to split them up. Reddit, thank you everyone for the feedback and very helpful advice. I really needed an outside perspective. I will focus on being there for her as a source of support and respect her decisions. Thank you. You can't make your sister do anything she is not ready for. But I will share a couple tricks I picked up being the parentified older sister, lots of responsibility, zero authority, of someone who dated a lot of her shoals. Be curious. Do you think that is okay? Are you happy? Be as non-judgmental as possible. Being a safe place for her to open up is more effective than attacking the married. That puts her in a mindset of defending her husband to defend the life they have together. When she tells you negative things, be supportive. I love you and I want you to be happy. You deserve a partner who's your back. It might not feel like there's a big difference between that and husband is the worst. This isn't okay. But in my experience, there's a big difference in effectiveness. Her self-worth is in the toilet and too. Probably will be until she gets out of there. Take things out of that context. What advice would you give me if I were in your position? Would you think it was okay for my partner to treat me this way? What about Kiddo? Do you want her to think this is okay? You don't want to be confrontational and have her stop coming to you, but this is a heavy hit. One of the most valuable reality checks for people who know their shitty self-esteem is the best friend check. Put someone else in my place. Do I still think it's okay? Especially where there are kids involved. They're learning from this even when she thinks they aren't. Even when she thinks she's taking the psychological hit instead of them. Finally, this is outside my experience, but document everything about the kids. Start a journal, a digital folder, whatever. Every time husband says he doesn't care about neurodivergent kiddo, lets the baby get lost, date, story, screenshots of texts. Whatever you can get, it will help with custody. I hope she gets out of there. You sound like a great sister. You shouldn't actively try to break it up, but ideally, you should encourage her to go to individual therapy to recognize what is happening and build a support system so she won't have to take care of 3 children alone in case she divorces. I'd ignore advice to not meddle no matter what because it's absolutely nonsense to act like a relationship that include 3 children being 2 partially and 1 totally neglected by one of the parents is an issue between 2 people. It's not, it's parental neglect, and those kids are part of your family and can't do anything to help themselves besides rely on adults. Another thing you could do to support your sister is offer to spend more time with the kids. Take them for an afternoon. Maybe the older ones for a sleepover. This could let Mama get some self-care time or even just uninterrupted cleaning time without feeling guilty for leaving them with preference over their dad. It's also going to be huge for those kids to have a respite from that environment if Mum chooses to stay. So establishing yourself as a trustworthy caretaker early will give them great opportunities to bond with you and see you as a safe space early, and normalize what being around adults is like.